Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, this one for patch 13.4. Huge changes, huge meta shift. Some champions have been thrown out back to join the Mundos, others are still here. Nerfs to kill catch-up experience and kill experience. Nerfs to AP ratios on the pet, nerfs to Demonic's Embrace. Buffs to Viego, which not only makes all of the player base happy, but also content creators, because now we can put them in our thumbnails again. As always, we will go over the best junglers overall, for both low and high MMR, so we can try and make sense of this chaotic meta that we find ourselves in once again. But before we do that, Rast has a message.
If you've ever wanted to be paid to play League of Legends like Rast, then Repeat.gg is where you should go. One of the largest esports tournament platforms where users compete for cash, in-game currencies, and more otherworldly prizes. Repeat hosts leaderboard tournaments that are designed to make esports more accessible. Simply sign up, enter into a tournament, and then your stats will be tracked from the games you play. You can play in as many tournaments as you like with as many games as you want, and it will take the averages from your best games to average them out, so you can feel the power of victory, like Rast. There is no match scheduling, no programs, no waiting for matches, no time restrictions, only competitive gaming at its absolute peak. In addition to cash prizes, you can also earn coins that can be used to enter many different challenges, giveaways, and purchasable goods on the marketplace. What more could you possibly want from an esports tournament platform? Make an account on Repeat.gg today through the link in the description below. Sign up, enter tournaments, win cash monies, become a better jungler. And most of all, have fun.
And now we go into the S tier page, and thank you to Ross for covering that while my voice is infected by this virus, most likely created by a Shaco main. And obviously Udi is gonna be here. You know why? Because the thing that has been annoying us is the fact that he does so much damn damage with the Demonic's Embrace build. Yes, he full clears fast. He's always full cleared fast. He's still going to full clear fast. The nerf to the pet, the nerf to Demonic's Embrace is not going to gut him in the way that you think. And obviously, while the Prowler's Claw Qmax build was annoying, I don't think it really warranted that kind of nerf at this stage. We weren't even seeing it anymore. So the slow nerf on the Wingborn Storm the R, yeah, okay, that's great, but the problem was the damage. Now, I don't like being stuck in that amount of damage, but now at least I can escape it, I suppose. But what if you can't escape it? The guy is still gonna farm extremely quickly. He's still gonna have too much damage in his kit for one item. He is still going to be an unkillable monster thing that can chase you down and kill you. I'm glad we had those nerfs as well as some base nerfs, but let's be honest, he's still going to be king of the crop while this meta develops and we figure out exactly the implications for the gold and experience changes on the camps, as well as the kill experience and comeback experience nerfs in the lanes. But for now, Udyr should remain the best de facto jungler with the most default jungling playstyle and the worst default neck position of any being I've ever seen in my life. Next up, we have Jarvan IV, and of course, those buffs went too strong. We kind of Jarvan being strong for more than one patch. Thus, we nerf it back down again. Except when you have an 8-second, 7-second CDR in the early game on a spell that you're not necessarily going to open with, especially when you want to use it to absorb damage, you might not always get 2 or 3 rotations of said spell. In this case, you're most likely definitely getting 2 spells later on, but earlier on, that's not really going to change anything. When you've got a serrated Dirk or you're snowballing with some AD ratio on that W shield, it's still going to do the work. The other changes are still there. Overall, Jarvan is still going to be strong. He doesn't have to gank, he doesn't have to perma-skirmish. He does have options in his kit. He can full clear if he wants to, 3-quadrant gank if he wants to. He's not one of those gankers that's going to find themselves with 3 CSPM needing the kill catch-up experience to be maximized. And as such, even though the 10% nerf on the AD ratio on that shield will be, oh look, this happened, it's still the fact that, hey, we didn't have this before, and now we do. Jarvan's still good. It's amazing when Ross was already pretty good, they buffed Shadow Assassin, then they nerf things that really counter Kayn and annoy him, and then Kayn still exists. And of course they give more sustain in the jungle, which he doesn't need, but now we have. They gave us more experience, which we enjoy. And you're gonna see a lot of that in this video. The systemic changes they made to the jungle over this patch and the last patch, combined with a nerf to those very oppressive meta junglers, means that those junglers that were actually kind of fine, who were simply just being straight countered by those champions, now have better win rates. Literally, if you looked at statistics and you saw Kayn's win rate last patch and you see, oh wait, hard countered by Maokai, kind of weak against the Evelynn. Okay, well you just nerfed those 2 things. Cool, I'm free. That can really do a lot of things for a champion. That's really great for overall junglers to kind of flex their different builds, their different forms, the different fusion of said forms. Really, Kayn does have everything to thrive in this current version of the jungle. It's just about if it keeps getting refined in a direction that suits him and Ross the best. I think they're definitely really going to be strong on this patch, and even though they did nerf the Treasure Hunter gold by about 100, you don't really need to go that on the champion at all. It's kind of a nice benefit, but he will snowball himself. Next up, we have Evelynn, and obviously this is weird, right? They just nerfed the AP ratios. Well, Evelynn's an assassin. Evelynn's also someone who could full clear and still leverage herself in a ganking meta because camouflage. Well, guess what? Now you can just keep doing that. You don't really need the help clearing. You already clear very well. You have the extra sustain tool in the jungle kit now. That's great. Gromp is easier to secure. That's very nice. And very rarely would an Evelyn be 1, 2, 3, 4 levels down to basically get the benefit of that kill catch-up experience or the kill experience in general like a Sidus would need to in order to stay in the game, because his clear speed just doesn't exist. That's why he's not on this list. Is he still fine? Yes. But that coin flip that he has, the fact that he had that fullback, that doesn't exist anymore. And such things like Evelyn, who can basically get leads through clears, basically structured ganks that are really good and thought out, and still always being that question mark in the map, because when you're spam ganked as a lane by an Evelyn, you kind of just accept it. Evelyn gets fed, and now she's difficult to beat. Same thing for Zac. Even though they have nerfed the Demonic's Embrace and the jungle AP ratio on the pet, he is still overall a strong and overpowered champion. In fact, we see him in support, and most notably lately in top lane, going down on CS, getting out poked a little bit, and then you just slingshot yourself in, all in every time, get free kills. Hey, your top laner's dead? Go mid lane. Cool. Hey, you've taken your top tower thanks to the herald from your jungler because you won your lane? Go bottom lane and kill them instead. You become a high KP, roam dominating, giga damage monster who doesn't have to jungle. Now, if you are a jungle, because this is a jungle video, the same thing is still true. You don't need to clear as fast. You just need to be Zac. Be PvP, be disruption, be tank, be an assassin, be everything that the green goo inspires you to be. Now next up we have Amumu. Amumu is sad because of my voice, and I'm sad because of my voice, but he's also sad because of the max HP damage that was removed, as well as some base stats. Unlucky, unfortunate. Anyway, we'll carry on doing exactly the same damn thing we've been doing for the last few months. It's weird, right? They take away 0.4% max HP at max rank on the W, but you're like, you know, I can still build Mobalytics, I still clear fast enough, I still get Balmy Cinder anyway. I can also, you know, just have CC for 8 years. I got my true damage component, I got my resistance stacking, my E reset, double bandage toss. I'm good, man. Like, you can take some max HP, I still have enough of my kit to be interesting, and yet no one wants to be my friend. That's a bit miserable. Next up, we have the monkey, the king of the jungle. Just kidding, not really, but he is pretty good, and he doesn't really care about any of these AP nonsense nerfs. He doesn't care about anything other than the fact that Gromp is easier to take, he has more sustain, and there's no Maokai. Great. Now I can basically, there's no Elise 2, although I didn't really care about that because of my clone. Anyway, so he, like a Mumu, will just carry on throwing feces, doing his thing, disrupting and snowballing. Now, Wukong is beatable, because a Wukong who isn't a good jungler really won't do very much. But a good monkey who understands jungle, understands how to quadrant clear 5 camp, 4 camp, 6 camp, 3 camp, do everything necessary to get that one little snowball going. And now you've got the armor shred Q, you've got the double knockup, you've got the disengage, you've got the over the wall, you've got the engage. A nice total kit with some armor shredding for those armor stacking beasts to take over games, along with a lot of damage. And finally we have Vi. A little bit under the radar, not something that I'm gonna say is, hey look, this is a dominating pick because pro players are picking it. They can't even build correctly. Like Cleaver, my friend, same for Jarvan, but at the same time, she has guaranteed lockdown in a meta where I'm starting to see your Xayahs, your Ziris, and that concerns me. And when you remove the Elise from the 14,000 dives bottom lane that she was doing, and you know the Maokai from the 1000 years of CC that he was bringing, all of a sudden you're basically going to say, who will step up and lock down these champions? Well, Vi will. About 10 years of chain CC for any priority target you want to take out, really straightforward early dragon and herald control, just don't overcommit for those early ganks, excellent rotational power. When you have a few points in your queue, you can move around the map really easy, using that mobility to go through walls out of base. Use it, my friends, it's a great mobility tool. You don't want to waste it and basically just hold it as you go from base to mid. Use it to get there quicker, use it to kill the mid laner quicker, use it to rotate to the bottom lane quicker. You see where I'm going with this. Next up, we have the A tier page, and on the top we have Rengar. Now this might be a surprise to some people, but the data suggests that this cat is looking kind of feisty. Even though the Treasure Hunter nerf will hurt us just a little bit, but like most champions in this video, they are just happy that Elise was nerfed and that Maokai was nerfed, allowing them to be free. Obviously, we had the crit reshuffle and the marksman itemization a few patches ago. Rengar has been enjoying flexing around with that, even though standard builds are still the way to go. Whenever you go from a high-tempo ganking meta, that Rengar, while he likes to snowball, invade, kill, stack the bone tooth, we're not looking to sit in a bush for 30 seconds, come back and do it again. We need gold, we need experience, we need kills for the bone tooth stacking. We need everything to kind of really take over a game, and a balanced meta is always more favorable to Rengar. And obviously with no hard counters or saplings in every damn bush that you walk into when you're trying to assassinate people, these things make life a little bit easier. Next up we have Fiddlesticks, and essentially Riot said, okay look, AP jungle is too strong, let's nerf that. Fiddlesticks said, wow. Anyway, so I'll just keep being a high win rate jungler that one-trick ponies love to play. Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, he really doesn't care. And obviously the 259 full clear that I put up on my shorts last week, where basically a Chinese one-trick pony was saying, hey, look, I got 20 seconds tempo advantage over regular Fiddlesticks mains. If you can figure out how to do that, yeah, there's nothing stopping you. Next, we have Bel'Veth, and Bel'Veth also doesn't like Elise, doesn't like Burst, doesn't like Rengar. But because Elise is gone, and of course Maokai CC is gone, we can now just do our regular things as we were always doing. High pressure jungling, high snowball jungling, getting that herald, and then snowballing the map with fishies and taking all the turrets. The champion's playstyle, as I covered from someone I coached, can allow anyone to climb very, very quickly when you have an actionable, aggressive game plan that allows you to really use the champion's kit to get true form and take over games. You don't want to be constantly playing from behind, then you need to reassess. Kindred, on the other hand, had a patch or two of just absolute horrific win rates, really random stuff that changed the crit atomization, but as we know, Kindred's ability isn't denying enemy jungler existence. They can come back freely, or if they're not even in their jungle in the first place, what am I going to do? Nothing that really affected your non-high elo Kindred mains. You could still play the champion, but now you can immediately see from patch to patch a 4% win rate increase just via the changes we had. So Kindred's back to being an oppressive S+ tier jungler for those with hands. And if you don't have hands, you can play Nunu. And even though the ganking meta seemingly will be slightly diminished, it will still exist. And Nunu is the king of that. At the same time, if you play against him, don't let him control your game plan, play it appropriately. Much like a Hecarim actually, because a Hecarim is a good example of a full clearing jungler who can quadrant clear into ganking early, snowball nice and heavily, rotate your Nunu stuff, but you don't want to let the Nunu compromise your game plan. Hecarim, on the other hand, obviously is enjoying now, no Maokai, no Elise, doesn't like Kindred, but you can ban that. Once you sort out your itemization and you understand how to play with the damage items, which again, it's been a while now, but people still haven't learned it, you will easily recognize that this champion, despite the data not being what it once was, is a definite 1v9 smurfing jungler that you can use to climb with a copy-paste, easy strategy that doesn't care about spam ganking. Honestly, my voice is hoarse about talking about this horse and those kinds of things. Next up is Lee Sin. Play rate looks good, data looks whatever, but high skill cap champion. Champion for the savants, champion for the lovers of pressure, invades, and all sorts of disengage. Ultimately, he's not going to be a free win, but the play rate, the ban rate, the type of meta we're in, he will just always be something that's good, that's useful. There will always be build variations you can leverage for those advantages. Lee Sin is bueno. Now that we've mixed 3 languages into 3 words, Viego is here. I could have put Shaco. I did want to put Shaco. 1 tricks, decent play rate, decent win rate. You know, it looks nice. But Viego's pick rate has just skyrocketed again, and his win rate has stayed the same. That's because you didn't adjust your itemization, my friends. Lucky for you, I made a gameplay review on my gameplay channel discussing the how and why of this new build variation with the crit scaling. We're looking at Shieldbow, Essence Reaver, Infinity Edge. Gives us a scaling AD Mythic passive for the new AD ratio on the ultimate. It gives us new lifesteal from the Blade of the Rune King we don't have. It gives us crit, it gives us sheen. It's everything. In terms of first itemization win rate, it is the best build. However, it's not going to replace the de facto Kraken Slave Blade Infinity Edge. It's not going to replace the de facto sort of comp play with Divine Sundering when you want to be safe, but it is a step in the right direction. If his win rate keeps going down or it stays the same and it doesn't quite take off, right, we'll definitely give him a little bit more of a nudge and you should see him do well. However, I'm comfortable saying, based upon what I've seen so far, the champion is still good for you to carry with. The champion will not be the reason you don't reach Diamond or you don't reach Master Tier or you don't reach Gold. And if you want to reach Gold as fast as possible, then obviously you can pick champions on this list right here, and then you can use those champions while using my silver course on my website, Virkayu.gg, and you should be able to, you know, climb about 10 times faster than anybody else. However, don't use Master Yi. He is not so good right now. Brazil is good, Rammus is good, Nocturne is looking very good, actually. Look, we like to meme that Udyr is easy for most plays, he is, but in low elo, there's too much going on sometimes. The wrong spells are used. You don't really itemize correctly, which is weird, but it's true. You know, sometimes there's too much going on for the champion to really flourish as much as he is in the overall meta. Therefore, there are simpler choices. And Sejuani shows up. Nice little pick here. Good CC. And finally, the high elo page. This is an interesting one. Elise is still viable. She's still okay. Maokai is actually still viable. You just gotta go Radiant Virtue. His win rate is looking a little sussy. Elise's is not. Good players will still execute her well. However, that was a lot of nerfs to one champion in one patch. Rengar's win rate is even better in high elo, obviously. But don't forget, you've got the Eternal Champions, you've got the Kindreds, the Evelyns. Sidus will still be okay here. You have Kindred. So many variations of champions and builds can work in high elo. These are the ones that have some of the highest presence and of course the highest ban rates and win rates. That's how we look at this. But if you're a challenger player, master player, grandmaster player, You either have a niche champion that no one knows how to play against in your pool that you can use, or you maybe have something that counters the ones on this list. Either way, you have a lot of choice in high elo. These are the ones that have the best win rate and presence at the moment. Those are your best junglers for patch 13.4. I'm gonna drink some tea now with maybe some honey, even though I hate honey. That's how bad it is. If you want to understand why the meta is the way it is, and at the same time how to break it and destroy those junglers, click the video in the box in your top right.